Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's brighten up your morning. I am Aisha Khan and you're watching the Sabah Show. Only on Horizon TV. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious and the most merciful. Welcome to the Sabah Show. This is the roundtable with me, Aisha Khan, where we discuss very thorny and pertinent issues in our society. But before that, let's look at the stories making the top headlines in the country and of course around the globe. And I can't do this alone. I am with Munene Muturi and Said Kuria. They're always fighting, and today we are here to discuss stories making the top headlines in the country. Now we're coming to you live from the heart of the city center. This is Horizon TV, the premier Islamic station. Now let's look at People's Daily. We have Treasury's new austerity measures to hit big shots. Now, if you look at the plan, 4 maximum number of people in ministerial overseas delegation, 75% reduction on office furniture purchase budget, 100% blanket ban on newspaper publicity, supplements, strategic plans. Now, even the allowance of phone calls have cut by 30%. Will this help in cutting the budget expenditure in our country, Munene?
I think maybe in the long run, but for now, these are the Chinese loans that have come home calling, and the government is really dug itself in the hole trying to scramble for more money so that it will be redirected to paying these loans. I think the people who raised the issue of we are borrowing too much are currently being vindicated, and I think it's unfortunate that this Jubilee administration has put the country at a very unfortunate place. And I think eventually it will go up hurting the poor pockets of Kenyans, because after the austerity measures in government, they will start raising the taxes to be able to get more funds to be directed into paying the loans. I think the people who will be celebrating are the people who cautioned about borrowing this many loans, and I think currently they are being vindicated.
Said, what do you think about this?
Yes, I agree with him, of course.
For the first time, again.
These are effects of overborrowing, overstealing, and overspending. Because this has been long overdue. We expected this to happen, of course, and that is how it should happen. And they should set an example to other people, because, of course, you cannot tell people that they set austerity measures in different departments, yet you are not leading by example, because we have seen a minister or even a member of parliament or even the president himself, he goes out with big delegation of people, and they use a lot of money which can be used in other areas which are of priority.
Amazing. Now moving on to the Daily Nation. Alarm over return of Mungiki terror. So insecurity, murderers and extortion prescribed group chose the wrong place. President Kenyatta's village to creep back. Matiang'i, who was quickly dispatched to the area, apologized to residents and vowed to crush gang, Michuki style. Now that is on page 6. Now do you think this reshuffling is going to cut this high rate of insecurity? Because these are the same people, in as much as they are together, and you know, they say because when they are together they are a gang, but again, these are the same minds that we are reshuffling. Is this going to cut the rate of insecurity in our country, Munene?
I think when we say that let us crack down on Michuki issue, the people who remember, or the people who come from central Kenya, when the first there was the uprising from Mungiki, especially in 2005, when they murdered a few people in the village. I think the Mungiki crackdown still has left scars from the people who are affected. A lot of young people are taken by the police, never to be seen again. I think we should go back and I'm not saying it's well for justified for the young people in this country to involve themselves in crime, but these are young people in this country with college diplomas and university degrees who don't have work to do, and they eventually end up forming these gangs to be able to get a livelihood. I'm not saying it's justified or it's even the right way to go for young people to go into gangs and into crime, but at the same time the government will not solve the problems we have with young people using guns, tear gas and intimidations. We should go back and see where is the government failing these young people who are leading themselves in these evil ways. And I think it's a discussion that probably young people should come up and try to pressure the government to really look unto them. Yeah.
Wow. Korea.
It is unfortunate. We have seen, of course, there is a video going around, a member of the same government working with people who are perceived to be behind these murderous gangs. We saw the assistant cabinet secretary, Rachel Shebesh, with former Mungeke leader. And in that video, former Mungeke leader Maina Jenga was threatening a political group that is perceived to be doing things differently with a group that is being led by Team Embrace, because Shebesh belongs to Team Embrace that is going around the country advocating for BBI. So we saw Maina Jenga threatening the group that is perceived to be different from which Shebesh is leading. So it is unfortunate the same member of government who are supposed to talk harshly about these gangs, or those who are supposed to discourage these gangs, are encouraging them to benefit politically, or so that they can have an edge over their political opponents. So this thing is collective. Matiang'i alone cannot fight these groups. And of course they should come together and know how to fight these groups. I also agree poverty has contributed to some extent, because these groups emerge because some young people want to earn livelihood by working for different politicians, by working for different groups. So the thing squarely lies on the shoulders of the government. The government must work very hard to ensure that there's development in the country and people can earn livelihood in better way, because as long as there be poverty, and when I talk poverty, I know we cannot 100% eradicate poverty, but at least we can reduce poverty. As long as there is poverty, these groups will be there, and these groups will continue terrorizing citizens. And we should also have integrity in the government, because if some people are encouraging these groups, because these groups are financed and even formed by politicians, and they condemn them when they are on their when they are not doing what they want, but when they are doing what they want, they encourage them, which is very unfortunate. Yes.
From what I'm getting here, it's all an inside job.
Yes.
Politics. Okay, so moving on to the Star. Cohen, Sarah fights for cash and assets. Wairimu asks court to release her because no evidence has been presented. This story continues on page 6. And it's very interesting that, you find that this case has been going on. And now Sarah wants to be released because there's no evidence found. And she wants to fight to be given money. Yet she's not in the will. So being his wife, and again she's not in the will, do you think that she should fight for her rights? And don't you think that Cohen, as her husband, has a right not to give her anything? Munene.
As much as we speak to the rights of the deceased, this is about the rights of a living person and the rights of the wife of the late Cohen. She has been held in custody right now for over 30 days. She has been denied bail. Eventually, she was married to this man. She was his partner in life, and the law clearly states whatever you bring up together to the table, you are entitled to it 50-50 shareholding. And I think it's unfair for you to point out that she wants money. It's like just she is there for the money. I think at the end of the day, there is a person who has not been found guilty. She is innocent until proven guilty. She is entitled to live a comfortable life for herself and for her, with her daughter. And I think she is entitled to be given whatever she deemed fit for her. And we can't just say she will not be able to contest the wealth and the money of her husband. I think Miss Wairimu is justified, and she is. We should look about have her rights been infringed into by her being held in custody for over 30 days. Is she being intimidated by other family members to forgo what I perceive is equally hers, as because she is still married to the deceased? And I think we shouldn't just look at it as the issue of money. Let's look at it just like any other person, because at the end of the day, we can't just say, you Wairimu, just forgo everything, walk out. Where will she go? She doesn't have a home anymore. She doesn't have a livelihood. She doesn't have a job. She needs these things for survival. So I think as much as we're discussing someone lost their life here, we should also look at where are the rights and freedoms of also Wairimu, because the laws clearly states one is innocent until proven guilty. Yeah.
Okay. Side.
Wairimu is innocent until proven guilty, and we cannot condemn her unheard. That would be against rules of natural justice. And you know, this thing has been persecuted in the media, and majority of Kenyans perceive that Wairimu is guilty. That is a mood that is in the country. So I think the court should not play to the gallery and of course move with the mood of the public. They should pay attention to the evidence that is being adduced in court. They should of course give Wairimu a chance, and by the way, they should not also take her rights away. She deserves a bail like any other person. We have not been told that she's a risk flight, so we don't know why they are continuing to detain her. And of course, we know this thing has emotions surrounding the whole thing, but we should not be blinded by emotions to an extent we are scared of interrogating what actually happened, because no one has knowledge of unseen, so we don't know what actually happened. We only know what happened after thorough investigations have been done, and after we are at the bottom of the details of the matter. And I believe DCI has given itself that role of trying to know what actually happened and what led to the death of Cohen. And we are not saying that Cohen should not be given justice. Cohen should be should be given justice, but at the same time, we should also consider the rights of the Wairimu and the society. Everyone should feel that justice has been served. Yes.
Amazing. Now, before we go for the break, there's a very interesting story that is on Taifa Leo, and this is about the environment. So, mbingu za pasuka Mombasa na mafuriko. Yeah? Wenye magari na wanabodaboda wanahangaika kwenye mafuriko makubwa katika barabara ya Fidel Odinga eneo la Nyali, Mombasa, kufuatia mvua kubwa ilionyesha mjini Mombasa jana. Now, you find this is not something that is happening today. It's been happening year in, year out, where we're having such flooding taking place. The county government tries to work on it. But again, do you feel that we are the ones who are failing our country? What is our responsibility as citizens? Munene.
I think I will not go to that direction. I'll take a different direction and say, Aisha, these are the effects of climate change that most of us have tried to ignore, because currently on the month of September we don't experience rain in this country. It's usually a time of, we say there is a little bit of drought and there is a little bit of sunshine. This is the time that people in South Rift are harvesting the wheat and maize. And I think the issue of Mombasa flooding, and also you have experienced some rains in Nairobi, these these are the effects of climate change. And I think there is the discussion that has been going from last week about the United Nations Climate Change Act, and our leaders are currently at the United Nations and in New York trying to discuss about world peace and everything. And I think we should call up our leader, Mr. Kenyatta, to try and point out these issues, because there is the issue of seas rising, and cities that are around the ocean will probably be swallowed up by the ocean. And I think the issue of there is rains in Mombasa, but in the parts of up northern Kenya there is a lot of hunger. So I'll take it as an issue of climate change. But when it comes to the issue of drainage and people being carried away by water, I think it's the responsibility of our leaders to try and tackle these issues, and also the responsibility of citizens when these drainages are built and taking care of environment. We shouldn't just dispose our waste just anyhow, dispose this waste on the drainage systems, and then we complain that the drainage systems are not working. So I think we should relook the whole issue of how we have designed our cities, how our cities are working in respect to the future. In the future, I think scientists are telling us the impacts of climate change. Yeah.
Amazing. Zaid.
As we grapple with the issues of climate change, we should also work on disaster and preparedness. Of course, in this country, we have seen that people rush to some things when disaster approaches. Maybe even in next year, these things will happen. So we cannot say that, yes, we know there's the issue of climate change, but we should also pay attention to the issue of how we approach these things when they come to us. Because I believe the government has a weather department, and they actually knew that the level of rain that will hit Mombasa, unless, of course, they have a faulty weather department where they cannot predict results correctly. So we believe that there is some negligence on the side of government, and even on the side of the county government. They should pay attention to hold to their roles, and at the end of the it, we should achieve what other countries achieve, because other countries, of course, they encounter these things, and especially in Western countries, we don't see these things. But in African countries, disaster come every year, but at the end of the day, we suffer, as citizens suffer, because the people who are responsible for our protections, they don't do it rightly. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Now we'll be taking a short break and we will be right back. Now remember, you can follow us on our social media pages, that is at Horizontv Kenya, on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Assalamu alaikum. Let's brighten up your morning. I am Aisha Khan and you're watching the Sabah Show, only on Horizon TV. Wake up to exciting mornings every day. Active Jumatatu with Muhammad Obura. Tech Tuesday with Yusuf Farah. Wednesday, the special edition Business Chat with Ibtisam Jamal. All about your health on Healthy Thursdays with Mariam Mwacharo. Aisha Khan with thorny pertinent issues every Friday on the Round Table. Fresh discussions, direct probe in Sabah Show, only on Horizon TV.
On the next episode,
jamana binti watatu wanne hesabu, hapa niko na BMW, hapa niko na V8, hapa niko na Probox. Anahesabu binti zake, anaona huyu kidogo Probox si mrembo, huyu kidogo, huyu hali yake si nzuri, huyu ni Probox tosha.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's brighten up your morning. I am Aisha Khan and you're watching the Sabah Show, only on Horizon TV. Assalamu alaikum. We are coming to you live from the heart of the city center. This is Horizon TV, the premier Islamic station. Now let's head to the Business Daily, where we have Treasury rejects SRC push for Moi Kibaki pay cuts. Now these have been our leaders, you know, our former presidents. Don't you think we should appreciate them handsomely, Munene?
Of course. This is the price of democracy. And if we want to have a change of guard after every 5 years, there's a price we have to pay. We have to take care of them, pay for their luxuries and their expenses. And I think Treasury is well advised to reject the cost to cut the payments for the former presidents. I think there are also other state leaders that are really not appreciated. The one who held the post for Prime Minister and the vice presidents, Kalonzo and Mudavadi, they are really not being taken care of by the government. I think this is the price of democracy. In other developed countries and developed democracies, when one retires or is out of the office that they held, they are handsomely given a handshake in that. And I think we should take that up and really appreciate the old mzes as they retire in their homes, and so that they will have a few cash to entertain their grandchildren who eventually might one day come up and even become our leaders. We don't know.
Amazing. So Said Kuria, do you think that we should appreciate our former presidents handsomely, just as Munene has said he's up for it? Do you think it is the right move?
Which praise is he talking of democracy? Of course, we should be alive to our situations in this country. We are a poor country. These people, if you talk of President Moi is a rich man, and he can afford everything. He can even afford private security. If you talk of President Kibaki, he has a house in Mudaiga. He has another one which is in Nyeri. These people have house everywhere, even across the globe. They have house everywhere. So should we give them money? Yet we have a country where people are living, they cannot even afford food. People cannot afford good clothing. People cannot afford good shelter. May I believe these people, Treasury is contradicting. They are doing austerity measures too. And by they don't even believe they do austerity measures. We have talked about austerity measures, and we expect even the president, deputy president, even the people working in government, CS, to follow that. But we are skeptical. If they cannot do this to former heads of state, and we have two former heads of state, that is President Moi and President Kenyatta, how do we expect they can do this to themselves? Because they're the people making policies, and they're people, of course, ensuring this happens. So I believe as a country, yes, we have democracy, which is good for our country, but at the same time, we should consider how our country is. He's talking about even grandchildren. We are grandchildren of some people. But are we grandchildren of lesser beings? Because us, we have no one who is caring about us. We are living in a society where even getting food, even marrying, many young people can't marry because they don't have money. Not because they cannot see beautiful girls or good girls, but because they don't have money.
On that note,
Mutwiri, instead of caring about the majority, is caring about a small clique of people. I don't know where. And Mutwiri has a propensity of supporting government and the people who have served in government, and even predicting that these people will lead us forever. I don't know what they give him, but I disagree completely. These people should not be given anything.
Point taken. Now we are Munene, I'm coming to you. We are thinking of punguza mzigo, but here we are thinking of we want to ongeza mzigo. Now, aren't we contradicting ourselves?
No.
Are they not trying to embezzle these funds, trying to confuse us as citizens? You're not telling us that these funds are for our leaders, but at the end of the day, we want to go and ongeza mzigo.
You know, yes, there is a mzigo, but to reduce the mzigo is not to pay these former presidents. There's the issue. we can't have a leader of a country. We give them the highest residence in this country, state house. We fly them private jets. We use our military and air force to protect them and everything. And then after leaving office, we tell them, go back to the Manyata you came from. I think that is not well.
But isn't leadership a service and not, you're not there to receive very many accolades and very many, those other things just come as, you know, a dish on the table.
Yes.
But I mean, what is leadership? Are we losing it?
We're not losing it, Aisha. Let me make my point. We've seen the current president, Mr. Kenyatta, when he assumed his oath of office, he went to visit his political mentor, President Moi, to be given words and encouragement and probably to be advised on how government works. He has been severally to the former President Kibaki, maybe probably when there has been issues here and there, to be given advice on what to do. These people have been visited by former heads of state and current sitting presidents and other leaders who are former presidents in this country, and we can't just say because they led us and they, for the case of Mr. Kibaki, he brought a lot of prosperity to this country. This is a token of appreciation. Mr. Moi, for 24 years, he gave us a lot of peace and the country was peaceful. This is a token of appreciation. And because the blood of these people runs in their children and their grandchildren, we should ensure that we don't lose that good genetics
totally
of leadership.
But coming to the country, Kenya, today, our poverty rate is on another level, okay? We can't even make it to the ranks where we are somewhere in the country, and we are thinking about, you know, congratulating these other presidents. Yet there are people dying, they have nothing to eat, Munene. Let him respond to this.
In countries in southern of Sahara, we are one of the biggest economies. In East Africa, we are one of the largest economies. Of course, that is the structures of life and the structures of society. We have the poor, poorest, who are middle class.
But are we going to be poor, poorest, middle class, rich? Why can't we be an economy where everyone can live a decent life, Munene?
The 50 million that we are using on these two people will not go ahead to feed or make any big difference in this country. What we need reforms of policies so that the most poor will be able to move from, they don't have shoes to put on slippers. Those have slippers to put on shoes. Those who have shoes to have bicycles. That's what we need. We can't just say, now because we spend 100 million on these people, let's start and dish out 100,000 to everybody. Doesn't work out that. We love poor people, that's given and that's assured. That even religion teaches us, if you have, you take care of the poor. It doesn't mean because you have, you take everything, give out the poor. No, even those poor people should take an extra step. Vote in good leaders who will ensure that you will forever not be poor. Yes.
Very
But
interesting.
Mutweli is not saying something. Mutweli is not saying that these people looted enough to hire private security. They looted enough to afford good lives. They looted enough to live in good houses. They looted enough, if they want to travel in any part of the globe, they can travel comfortably. And by the way, some of them, and I will not mention them because we have only two, should even be punished for what they did when they are in power. Because the things that we are passing through, or the problems that Kenya are encountering, are attributed to them. And when you talk about Kibaki, how Kibaki made this country great, Kibaki was part of the Moi government, and you know how Moi government looted this economy, bled this economy. To an extent, we could not afford, government could not afford basic services for its people. The same case, even Kibaki, we cannot say, he did some things that, of course, we can attribute to what is happening, or what is ailing our society today. So, we are not saying that they did not good things. They did good things. But if you compare them with some of the countries that have gone ahead of us in Asia, they are shame. In fact, it is a shame The leadership they provided cannot be compared with the leaders that was provided. At independence, we were in the same level with some countries in some great economies in Asia. But now, we are dwarfs when we are compared to them. So I believe Munene has gone to school, and it is unfortunate. He is saying
a point of correction: we are not dwarfs.
When compared, of course.
That is my point.
We are when compared. You know, you can pride yourself. Even a dwarf, when he goes to a land of short people, shorter than him, he'll pride that he is tall. But when he goes, if you compare ourselves to some economies in Asia, we are dwarfs. What are we saying? In a country where people are, we are continuing being killed by malaria. In a country where we cannot even afford antiviral drugs. In a country where cancer is a menace. In a country where in terms of disaster preparedness, we cannot manage, and every year we have to hear of floods, we have to hear of fires where fires break, and we cannot even mitigate those fires. As a country, we have priorities, and by the way, I think we should punish these people by denying them this money and taking this money where it is supposed to be taken. That 100 million he is talking about, at least could have provided a good class to those kids who lost their lives. Could have provided a good class.
Aisha, the likes of my friend Kuria, the people who thrive when there is fear and warmongering. We can't say of course, we are not yet there where we want to be, but at least we're doing better than Tanzania, Uganda, Somalia, Sudan. We are, of course, we are not yet there. We've done some mistake as a country, but we pride ourselves as having one of the most vibrant democracies in Africa. And I say this is the price of democracy that we have to pay. When compared to other African countries, we are one of the countries that has one of the most peaceful transition to power. We have vibrant democracy, we have vibrant leaders in this country. So after people come in power, they do what they do. We appreciate them for the big thing they did, because I'm sure, because my friend Kuria has political ambitions. One day when you will be a political leader, I'm sure we will sit somewhere and I remind him, because you will given a token of appreciation. Maybe he should have to forgo that 10-15 years to come. My words will be vindicated to him, and I'll say maybe he should be taken to jail for whatever you should have done.
Okay, now before we go for the break, let's switch this up. We're still in politics. Now, Okot's on the Standard. Okot's Punguza Mizigo hits dead end. Now, impossible task. With 20 days to go, passage by 24 counties looks remote, with 38 county assemblies yet to consider it. This story continues on page 6. Do you think the MPs will pass this bill of Punguza Mizigo?
You know, there is something laughable. I've said time and time again for the last almost 2 months, Punguza Mzigo is there to excite the feelings of a few common wananchi there, because there is a Mzigo. Okot is giving them false hope and false pretense that you will reduce the Mzigo for them. There is no Mzigo you will be able to reduce. He doesn't have the political muscle to wipe these members of parliament and county assemblies to be able to pass this bill. And it's unfortunate that a few Kenyans have been very excited, and their emotions will eventually be very hurt. And I've said time and time again, anyone listening to this, please don't invest emotionally to Punguza Mzigo. You will be highly disappointed. We are waiting upon our political masters. Punguza Mzigo might sound very good to Wanjiko, and she might be very excited to that. But our political masters will come and tell her to vote for what is not beneficial for her, but what is beneficial for our political masters. So I will tell people out there listening, please let us wait for BBI so that it will come. Our political masters will come up and brainwash, and we will vote for the BBI initiative. We will have a change of constitution, change of government. We will forget about the pertinent issues of Wanjiko, and we will forever forget about Punguza Mzigo. And that is the unfortunate truth that will happen in this country. And I see my words will be vindicated very soon when then we will just disagree, forget about the punguza mzigo of Okot, and eventually forever forget even about who Okot is. Yeah.
Said, are you on the same page, or have you turned a different page?
Mutweri is preaching water but drinking wine. When he talks of Aukot, he talks with about Aukot with disdain. Aukot should be given a chance. He should be given a chance to do what he is doing. He has a democratic right to present this bill to the public, and if he loses, it is well and good. His bill has been rejected. He has lost democratically.
Yes.
But now you are making. He is trying to ridicule what Aukot has been doing, and this tendency. I have seen the same tendency with some people in ODM, and even some people in those who are supporting BBI. They have that tendency of ridiculing what other people are doing, and especially Aukot. Aukot tried in his small way to at least change laws of this country in the way he thought it is the best way, but of course, people had different opinions. If it succeeds, it's well and good. If it fails, it is well and good. That is his democratic right, and he should be given a chance. So we should not make ridicule of what he was doing. I think he had good interest of this country at heart, but people had different views of how this country should be run. And we even have cases where people are saying that MCAs were bribed to shoot this bill down. That is what people are saying.
Munana wants to stand up and leave the set right now.
It is already in the public domain that some even MCAs have come out saying that they were actually bribed to shoot this bill down to pave way for BBI. And I want to tell Mutweri, punguza mizigo will fail. Yes, I believe as a political analyst, I want to tell Mutweri, he should not celebrate that BBI will pass, because BBI will either be rejected by Kenyans or MCAs or member of parliament. The same way punguza mizigo has been rejected, because my opinion has been we don't need change of laws. We have enough laws. We should first implement laws that we passed. The constitution that we passed in 2010, we should first implement it so that we can think of even changing laws. Because I think we are doing things that are not important, or things that are not of priority. And we are using a lot of money in things that are not of priority. We don't need a referendum, and we actually need status quo. First we implement what we passed, then we can think of changing laws.
You know, as I've said, punguza mzigo was there to excite a few emotions in Kenyans. And I'll give a political reason why punguza mzigo, the public, when they really get sense of it, have even rejected it. The Okot talks about reducing counties and reducing the number of constituencies. I'll tell you, when you go out there, the people, I'll give the example of Migori County. We have the Luo who are mostly, largely the Luo.
Very briefly,
yes, but there is the community of Kuria. And if you tell them the Kuria community wants for them to be created the county of Kuria County, and if you tell them they are going to reduce the small thing that the 2010 constitution has given them, and you will tell them will forget about that, forget about their MP and their MCA, that will not going to happen. And I'll inform my friend Kuria about BBI when he says it will be rejected by Kenyans. When you don't think that the people in BBI are just seated there and they are not. The constitution changes that will be brought about by BBI when we eventually see the full report. You know, I say somewhere where I've seen some few details here and there, but when the public will be able to see the full report of the BBI, this will be the second liberation that everyone has been crying for, and all the Kenyans will mobilize and support this. They will even say we don't have to vote it, just sign it into law and we accept everything that is there.
This fight between Munana and Kuria will never end. Now we'll be taking a short break and we will be right back.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's brighten up your morning. I am Aisha Khan and you're watching the Sabah Show. Only on Horizon TV.
From the most interesting things is the alertness of the dying person at the time of his death. For he becomes perceptive to a degree which cannot be described, and worried to an extent that has no limits. And he yearns for his times of old, and wishes that he be left so that he can make up for what passed him by, and so that he can be truthful in his repentance, in accordance with the level of certainty he now has about death. And he, out of grief, almost kills his own soul before its actual death. And if a single atom's weight of these things were found at the time of health and well-being, everything that is intended by doing pious deeds would be achieved. So the intelligent one is he who pictures that hour and acts according to what it requires. And if he is not able to do that, then he visualizes it as much as he is able to, for it will prevent desire's hand and will arouse determination in him.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's brighten up your morning. I am Aisha Khan and you're watching the Sabah Show. Only on Horizon TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the last segment of the newspaper review section. We have talked a lot about politics. Now let's get to human interest stories. Of course, politics, Kenya, we eat, drink and sleep politics, but let's move on to something else. Now, on the Daily Nation, we have get a firearm permit if you want pepper spray or the teaser. Do you know that it is illegal to own pepper spray or a taser gun in Kenya without a firearm license? Well, in other foreign countries, even in movies, we see, when a woman wants to protect herself, she has this very little pepper spray so that she can spray on the eyes of the men and run away. That is self-defense. Now, it's just as simple as carrying a water bottle or a lip balm for a woman. Don't you think we are being petty here, Milene?
Of course, I think the problem that African governments want to create, we want to solve our problems, but at the same time, they don't want to enable the citizenry to be able to be a part of solving these problems. This will go to me, I think, they should go to police officers. I think it's a shame that we see our police officers in our towns carrying very big guns without bullets with them, and they are just walking around. In developed countries, police officers have given tasers and pepper sprays, because in this country there are no... How many guns are there that criminals have so that they'll be able to fight police officers? But to be able to arrest these petty offenses and that kind of a thing in a more humane way that will not be able to hurt someone. And then the other thing, we have a lot of crime and a lot of violence, especially with women and vulnerable people. So I think it's overreaching for the government to require these things, because the pepper spray and taser, they are eventually they are not very harmful weapons to use. They are just there for protections. When you use pepper spray or a gun taser to someone, you won't kill them, you'll just be able to immobilize them. So I think people should be encouraged to have these things, and government should be able to reduce these handles. And I think if these handles are getting rid of the issue of violence against women, petty violence against people, mugging and that kind of a thing, that crime will reduce, because if you are being attacked, you can be able to immobilize the person attacking you.
That's our defense side. What's your opinion on
Government
that?
should continue banning these things.
Why?
Because I think these things are dangerous. You can even disarm police using pepper spray. Some people even be refusing arrests. And when we talk of violence against women, what has led to violence against women? Are we militarizing our women by making them feminist?
Society is very dangerous, and a woman needs to safeguard herself.
So if society has a problem, we should first treat that And we can treat that by, of course, bringing up men who don't have that tendency of course, meeting violence
Okay, but for
against
now,
women.
for self-defense purposes,
But we have
what should a
security
woman do?
We have
What security? What security?
We have security system,
Uh-huh.
and that security system is responsible for what is for protecting women. And we are exaggerating things. How many women have been coming to this place, and I've used I've told a matter to how many women have been attacked by men. I think these cases, women should just be told that you should avoid some places. Even men, if I walk into some places, dark places, I'll be attacked. So it is not petty, as you have said. Government should even ban, because in Western countries where these things are allowed, even in Western countries where even guns, like United States of America, are allowed, we have seen some effects where someone walks out and starts shooting everyone. So I believe we are okay, and we should resort to our traditional roles of having a society where a man is responsible of protecting a woman. So there is no need of even having a woman with a weapon so that she can protect herself.
Munene.
Kuria is just any other male chauvinist, and I think he doesn't respect the rights and freedoms of women. And I'll say it's unfortunate he says those kind of things, and I dissociate myself with the words that he said. I think we go about women being molested and assaulted is not just being beaten up. I've seen women just walking by and they are very naughty men out there, they whistle or say some very unfortunate words. I think Aisha, you can confirm that. And really, women are not pleased with that. Women are not pleased with those words. And I think they should be able to mobilize the advances that they feel they are not comfortable with. And I think, as Kuria says, male chauvinism, that is the responsibility of the man to protect the woman. We're in the 21st century, we respect our past, but we should be able to accept where we have come from, where we are, and where we are going.
Perfect. Now moving on to the next story, that is on the Standard, page 3. Cholera death toll hits 33 as 11 regions suffer. Now, in this day and age, this is a very simple disease, but we are talking about it every time. And you know, to prevent cholera, you just need to have proper sanitation. Just the other day, we saw the disaster in our public schools where the sanitation is just on another level. You know, what needs to be done?
The buck stops to the government, and that is why I'm saying it is unfortunate. My friend is saying that we should reward the former presidents for what they did. What they do should be rewarded, because as you have said, it's a simple thing of good sanitation. We have even in next year newspaper, you might be surprised. A time like now, we'll be talking of the same things, where we are being affected by these infectious diseases, which can be controlled, and which in some countries have been controlled. Yet every year we hear of them, yet no one even raises to the occasion of trying to think how we can solve these issues. And I think as a government, the government should do something. The buck stops with the government, and they should do something. And if they can't do something, they should even give up on governing us so that we can have a new government.
Okay. Now, Munene, you know, he's just attacked you on the set where he's telling you, you know, now the president's story, he's brought it back. What do you have to tell him?
You know, Korea will go against anything that's government. It's just liberal by all means. I'll say we don't have enough sanitation for the public that we have, especially in Nairobi. The public sanitations that are there, you have to pay for them. I think that's unfortunate. In developed countries, public sanitations are free. We don't have enough here, so that's why we end up having very stinky and well unsanitized streets in this country. When you just walk around, people have done their things just anywhere and everywhere, because they are not the people who should provide for these services are really not providing for them. I think the other issue is when you go back in the village, some people really don't know the use of toilets, and these are the education that we should be able to give people. When my friend Kuria goes to the University of Nairobi, he should go back to the village and teaches people about digging toilets, having this sanitation and that kind of a thing, and probably will be able to reduce these cases of cholera. It's not the government will not come here and tell wash your hands after everything and after before having a meal. That's not the responsibility of government. I think even religion teaches us so much about sanitation and cleanliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and I think we have lost our way in what religion teaches us, in what we are taught in school. We are just there to see everything serikali's idea, hata kwa kuosha mkono. It's common sense.
It is not, you know, he wants to
well, common sense is not so common. Now we're going to move on. Yes, side.
He's being overprotective. And he wants to, the people who are supposed to make public aware of these issues are the people in leadership. Because, of course, they get benefits. They are not there. We have employed them to do those things, to make public aware of these things. So at least they have their responsibility. Now he wants to tell us that our people are very stupid. They don't even know how to wash hands. I think people should stone him after he walks out of this station, because
we do not encourage violence.
I think
it's looking.
It has been recorded and is live on air. If anything happens to me, Korea will be held liable for the safety of my life.
Okay, so moving on to the Standard, on page 7, we have couples free to end civil unions anytime. Now the judge says law initially provided that one can only file for divorce after 3 years in marriage. Now having this direction, don't you think it will lead to high divorce cases, Munene?
I even don't think about the issue of why divorces will come up, but there is also another issue that I would like to put it up to the public. There are a lot of people that are marrying for papers. When you just marry someone, then you'll be able to get Kenyan citizenship or the citizenship of another place. And I think these are a two-sided sword. I think it's well because there are people who have been trapped in marriages that they are not comfortable in, and they are being abused in that. But at the same time, we just can't allow people to just there is sanctuary in the institution of marriage. We just can't take it up as any other thing. Just like having a cup of tea, you can have it one sip and then just throw it away. I think it should be looked into, because we can't just have people marrying, divorcing, marrying 5 times. I think it's not even, for me, it's not logical. I'll tell people, if you really want to marry someone, take time, build a friendship with this person, follow the right process, follow I'll say the right way to do it. Just don't get married for money, for papers, to get citizenship, for anything. Just the institution of marriage, let's just not I think that's the only thing that we have that binds us as a society, and I think it's unfortunate that we are almost throwing it into the drains, just taking it for granted like any other thing. Yeah.
Korea, do you think this is a good move where, if you want to divorce someone, you just divorce them and you move on with life?
It is not a good thing. And as Munene has said, marriage, when we talk of marriage, it is, of course, smallest unit of the society. And it is somehow divine. We should protect it, and we should even train society to know the importance of the marriage. Government should work. We have religions that, of course, addresses these issues. And these religions, most of them have good intentions of protecting that unit of marriage. So we should look how these even religious practices, traditional practices, how they used to protect marriages. Because the issues of divorces, we have had them. We have recently had them because of the issues he has talked about. People are going in marriages for money. People are going in marriages for papers. And some even are going in marriages to, maybe he wants to go to United States and maybe become a citizen in United States. So a woman moves there, marries to someone, and acquires citizenship. Then after she has acquired citizenship, then she does away with marriage. So we should know that marriage is not something to play around with, because we have kids. When we get married, we get kids. These kids need a mother and a father. These kids, to have a good background in upbringing, they need both parents, and they need to be and that is why we are seeing everything going wrong. You can bring a society where everyone is affording everything, but when it comes to rate of crime, the rate of crime is high. People cannot even coexist peacefully, because in their childhood they did not get attention that a child is supposed to get, because maybe one of the parents was absent, or even both parents were absent, which is something that is not good, and which is something that should be looked at.
Amazing. Thank you so much for gracing this show. Thank you so much for coming on board and entertaining the public, where you both have divergent views, but at the end of the day, we are one people. Munene, we are with you. Nothing is going to happen to you. It's on record. Now, we have come to the end of the newspaper review segment, where we have talked about, stories making the top headline in our country and, of course, around the globe. And now to my favorite part of the day, that is the round table, where we discuss very thorny and pertinent issues in our society. Well, today we will be looking and diving into the world of poetry. Poetry with a purpose. And I will be hosting two brilliant ladies. That is Miss Kihaji, who has been featured today on page 5 of the Friday Bulletin, where it is titled A Budding Poet with a Potent Message. Just at the age of 19, a girl has stood up and is standing for her people of Northeastern. She has written a very good book in the style of poetry. Also, we'll be having Najma Swale, famously known as Drops of Melanin. She is a spoken word artist, and she is also an author. An amazing episode lined up for you. Now, stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's brighten up your morning. I am Aisha Khan, and you're watching the Sabah Show, only on Horizon TV.
On the next episode,
Jamana binti watatu wanne Nsabu, hapa niko na BMW.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.